rust. They wondered what was under it. He was guessing it had something to do with Oregon. We're hit! Dust 2 going down! Repeat, Dust 2 going down! Hold on to something!
Originally released in 2005, F.E.A.R is a horror first-person shooter influenced by Japanese films and video games. Unlike a large majority of other games in the horror genre, F.E.A.R is set to scare you shitless with its tense gameplay, moody atmosphere, and a psychological ghost story that's guaranteed to keep you up at night. F.E.A.R, or First Encounter Assault Recon, is a United States Army recon force dedicated to the investigation of paranormal phenomenon. The player takes the role of a rookie team member equipped with superhuman reflexes, giving him the ability to slow down time at will. With a short introduction, you and your team are sent to eliminate a man named Paxton Fettel, who appears to be an insane cannibal who has telepathically taken control of a small army of superclones. Things take a turn for the worst, as it's soon discovered that the protagonist is being haunted by a strange girl in a red dress, and the mysterious Paxton Fettel might have something to do with it. Heavily influenced by the subtle scares of Japanese horror, F.E.A.R does a fantastic job of creating an immersive atmosphere thanks to the use of its visual and audio style. You'll hear every one of the protagonist's footsteps as you walk down a near pitch black corridor. You'll see a light flickering and hear a whisper as you realise your flashlight is running low on charge. You might see the shadow of a girl peeking round a corner as your psychological hauntings begin to get worse. Then suddenly you'll find yourself in a shootout, desperately trying to take out the hostile guards in a heated firefight. No FPS would be complete without decent gunplay and shooting mechanics, and these features in F.E.A.R are top notch. This is thanks to some of the best artificial intelligence I've seen in a first-person shooter. Enemies will group, flank, and use the environments to their advantage, kicking over boxes and cabinets to use for cover, as well as diving through windows in order to get a better shot at you. Forgot to turn off your flashlight before a stealthy approach? If a guard sees you, he'll send someone to investigate. The enemies are there to hunt you down, but their second objective is to avoid being killed themselves. There were numerous occasions where I followed a bad guy into cover, only to find he's moved and been ready to flank me from a different position. It definitely makes a change from other shooters where the AI regularly seems to feel unrealistic and scripted, which is definitely not the case here. The visuals are still impressive for a 2005 game. Still holding up today, they do a good job at enhancing the gunfights. Think of the lobby scene from The Matrix and you'll get a pretty good idea of what almost every encounter is like. Bullets whiz through the air, shotguns kick up clouds of dust, and bullet cases ping when they hit the ground. You'll be overwhelmed by the power of the weapons and the impressive particle effects, whilst desperately looking for cover to shelter from oncoming fire. I originally thought the inclusion of the main character's bullet time ability was a little bit overpowered, but combined with the amount of bullets it can take to kill an enemy, the feature turned out to be surprisingly balanced. Not to mention picking off headshots and shooting grenades whilst mid-air in slow motion is heaps of fun. F.E.A.R holds some of the most satisfying gunplay in a shooter without a doubt, and the variety of guns ranging from assault rifles to shotguns to material beams, whilst might be a little lacking in numbers, definitely make up for an effect. Great gunplay aside, there are a few shortcomings. The game essentially takes place in a few different locations, so for large sections of the game you'll be seeing extremely familiar office rooms and deserted back alleys, making the levels feel rather repetitive, which, combined with the occasionally confusing sense of direction, can make moving through some of the environments rather tedious. Familiarity seems to be a bit of an issue in F.E.A.R, as 90% of the enemies you'll be facing are clone super soldiers. With only occasional enemy variety, you'll often feel like you've blasted the same guy in the face 100 times over. The story, while undeniably clever and interesting, is rather poorly presented. There are limited cutscenes in F.E.A.R, and the majority of the story information will be filled in through rather boring messages found on answer machines scattered throughout the levels. Stopping for 30 seconds or so to hear a voice message from some office worker's family member really takes away from the action rather than enhancing it. I definitely think the game could have benefited from a few more cutscenes. Despite the first F.E.A.R game now being nearly 7 years old, it still manages to hold up as being a fantastically immersive shooter with some brilliant gunplay mechanics, intelligent AI, and genuine scares. Questionable storytelling methods aside, if you're looking for an action-packed shooter that might even keep you awake at night, be sure to check out F.E.A.R. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out my written review over at trace6x.tumblr.com.